Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer-wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, travelling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
This week, Re-Animator.
In the year 1985, director Stuart Gordon cast Jeffery Combs as H.P. Lovecraft's Herbert West, co-starring Barbara Crampton, sometimes with clothes, sometimes without, and Bruce Abbott and the late David Gayle, completing one of the goriest, most hilarious, most decapitatingest films ever made, Re-Animator.
Wow, that was so long. Who are you? Where did your accent go?
Sorry, man. Did I go on too much?
No, that was great. That was great. No, we're having a weird one today. This is Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. This is Matt. You can say your name if you want, because you're here.
This is Luke.
I thought you were going to be Andrew. Anyway.
No, I'm Andrew. I'm sorry.
That's not Luke.
Like I was him.
Yeah. Okay. I take two. This is Matt.
This is Andrew.
And this is the sci-fi.
Edit
you have
point.
to say Sanctuary. You've heard enough, man. You know what to do. The edit point.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Luke's running a little late to his own podcast today. I got a message. He was like, I'm getting a gym membership at 10. And I was like, in Japan, that's going to take like a while.
And I was like, who is Jim? And why do you need a membership?
Yeah. Jim with his members.
Damn it,
Some
Jim.
kind of member. Damn it, Jim. Yes. Anyway, I got the Facebook message from him, like, get started. So, there'll be a surprise appearance from Luke at some point later on. And, today we are talking about Re-Animator, which, interestingly, I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing. Or, like, I'm sure when we were kids, like, you showed me scenes. And I think we did watch Bride of Re-Animator several times.
I mean, that sounds right.
Yeah. I know I'd always, if it was my choice, I'd always be like Frankenhooker. So
yeah, that was Frankenhooker's the people's choice. What can you say?
Well, I mean, now that I've seen Re-Animator, it's definitely I see where this one like has a little bit more. It's always been around. It was a poster on your wall growing up, so the image was there. But I'd basically somehow I'd never quite hit this particular stream of horror movie. So I don't know. I think it's the same for Luke. I don't think he'll tell us when he gets here. But I know you have a little more of a story on this one, getting into it. And is this still like your favorite movie? I know at some point you listed it as that.
I think it must be. I mean, it's not the best movie I've ever seen, because I would say like my all-around favorite's probably Harold and Maude. But this is Re-Animator is the best horror movie I've ever seen. Yeah.
Okay. And when it came out, you were not quite down with horror movies yet. It took you a few years, yeah?
No, this was one of the many that came from my dad's shelf of pirated copies that he had when I was a kid. But the poster for Re-Animator with the Herbert West has a good head on his shoulders and another one in a pan on his desk. That one was in the front window, decapitated head and all, right by the local grocery store. It was Big Star at one time, and there was an A&P. They both had a video rental. I don't know what exactly it was at the time, but yeah, right in the window of the store when mom and dad and kids are going to get their groceries, there was the Re-Animator poster. So I had always assumed it was scarier than it was. And when I finally got the whatever to watch it, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny movie. I know watching it I definitely was like, oh, this is where a lot of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place got its shtick from. I mean,
Yes.
adding in like coked out Stephen King and terrible '80s TV tropes, which Re-Animator is not guilty of.
No. It's still. I feel like it holds up. I've seen it a lot of times, like in my adult life.
And director Stuart Gordon, he passed away this year, was it?
Either this year or late last year. I can't remember which.
True.
I want to say this year, very recently.
Was this the start of his run? Or did he make something before this?
No. Before this, he was with the Organic Theater in Chicago. So this was a theater group's basically attempt at making film, and that's kind of why the acting and everything is sort of directed towards the cheap seats. That's why it's so over the top, because he thought, well, the back row needs to be able to see it, and it's like, no, Stuart, you have a camera. This isn't on the stage.
There we go. So. Yeah, and some of his other I know I've seen a few of his other films, but what did he make after this?
After this was From Beyond, which is kind of the flip-flopped Re-Animator, where Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs, the roles are kind of switched, where she's the mad doctor and he's sort of the hapless victim.
Now, I know I had seen From Beyond. Maybe that's where I'm like thinking I'd seen parts of Re-Animator.
Yeah, spectacular. He's done straight up and down sci-fi. He did Space Truckers. He did Robot Jocks. But yeah, mostly known for horror around that time. Yeah, definitely. He did Dagon, which is pretty much his most straightforward Lovecraft adaptation I think he ever did. He also did a movie called Dolls as well, which is another horror movie. One of my favorites, Pit and the Pendulum. Lance Henriksen stars as Torquemada in that one. And
I know I saw that. Maybe that was the thing. Maybe you'd seen Re-Animator too many times, so we ended up watching Bride, From Beyond, and that.
Well, it also would make sense because Bride of Re-Animator was out around the time of I was hitting my watch horror movies all the time phase. So Bride was newer, In fact, I saw it at the 12 Oaks 4 Theater over there, and I guess that was Chambly area or something like that. But Castle Freak was one that became one of my top favorites because it had Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton once again, this time playing husband and wife. And that was another love story.
Yeah, I seem to remember people just screaming Castle Freak at each other back in the day.
Castle Freak.
You're a Castle Freak!
Yeah, it's less of a comedy, but I tend to think of Re-Animator, From Beyond, and Castle Freak all together, even though there is a third Re-Animator movie.
Yeah, well, it's a joke when you start screaming Castle Freak at someone, then the drama goes away. Anyway, Luke is going to do the synopsis of this, which will be kind of a future event thing. But as I messaged to you, you know the damn story anyway. So
I do. Yeah, quite well.
In Switzerland, Herbert West brings his dead professor, Dr. Hans Gruber, not that one, back to life. There are horrific side effects, however. As West explains, the dosage was too large. West arrives at an American university to further his studies as a medical student. He rents a room from fellow medical student Dan Kane and converts the house's basement into his own personal laboratory. West demonstrates his reanimating reagent to Dan by reanimating Dan's dead cat Rufus. Dan's fiancée, Megan Halsey, daughter of the medical school's dean, walks in on this experiment and is horrified. Dan tries to tell the dean about West's success in reanimating the dead cat, but the dean thinks Dan and West have gone mad. Barred from the school, they sneak into the morgue to test the reagent on a human subject. Dr. Halsey stumbles upon the scene and is killed by the reanimated corpse. West injects Dr. Halsey's body with his reanimating agent. Dr. Halsey returns to life, also in a zombie-like state. Dr. Halsey's colleague, Dr. Carl Hill, a professor and researcher at the hospital, takes charge of Dr. Halsey and discovers that Dr. Halsey is not sick, but dead and reanimated. Dr. Hill goes to West's basement lab and attempts to blackmail him. West clobbers him with a shovel and then decapitates him with it. West then reanimates Dr. Hill's head and body separately. While West is questioning Dr. Hill's head and taking notes, Dr. Hill's body sneaks up behind him and knocks him unconscious. The body carries the head back to Dr. Hill's office with West's reagent and notes. In his reanimated state, Dr. Hill acquires the ability to control other reanimated corpses telepathically. He then directs Dr. Halsey to snatch Megan away from Dan. Hill is interrupted in his devious machinations by the arrival of West and Dan. West distracts Dr. Hill while Dan frees Megan. Megan's voice reawakens a protectiveness in her father, who fights off the other corpses as Dan and Megan escape. In the ensuing chaos, Dr. Hill's body mutates rapidly and attacks West. As Dan and Morgan flee the morgue, one of the reanimated corpses attacks and strangles Megan. Dan takes her to the hospital emergency room and tries to revive her, but she is dead. In despair, he injects her with West's reagent. She screams! She lives, but at what cost? A lot of W's and R's close together in there makes it very difficult.
You wasky wabbit.
Rest's reagent.
So you've already mentioned Barbara Crampton a few times. I just cannot get away with my joke that Jeffrey Combs is the only actor in this movie, and that's fair enough because they tag teamed enough. I guess it's one with the other, huh?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, Barbara Crampton. She's had a career resurgence. Like everybody that's involved with Re-Animator. You got David Gayle died, and I think the guy that played I can't remember his name, but he's Meg's father.
Oh, right, the dean.
Robert
dean.
Sampson, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Sampson, maybe. I feel like maybe he's not alive anymore. And of course Gordon's not, but Jeffrey Combs, he's still kicking around. He still does movies. I don't know about Bruce Allen, but Crampton has had a huge career resurgence. She has a huge fan base. She just kind of walked back into it with a role in a movie called We're Still Here, and her kids are grown, and she realized that she had this giant fandom, and she got back into. She's a mega horror fan. She's all over social media, and it's just like it's been incredible to see her. I've met her twice, Jeffrey Combs once. Barbara Crampton looks exactly like she did in Re-Animator, only like younger and prettier. Weirdly enough, like I don't know, like what cryo chamber she's been in, but she's done some great, and she's picked great projects every single time. Like they're not these like corny one-offs or whatever. She's done some like great, like Sundance Channel stuff, things like that. Really good ones.
Well, I guess the reagent worked at the end then, huh?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. She was the one that got it, man.
Yeah, do you know where I definitely know Jeffrey Combs, and I've always known he's in Re-Animator, but do you know where I know Jeffrey Combs?
Well, he did a lot of Trek, didn't he?
Yeah, he played like 17 different aliens on Trek. And I guess, he was an Andorian on Enterprise. He just show up in one-off roles, and whenever he'd be in there, it's like, oh, he's the only actor in this episode. So I know he's not in the main credits, but he's the only actor in that episode. But yeah, he showed up in about 8 or more episodes as Wei Yun, which is kind of the sniveling sort of villain. He controls the sort of programmed killbot guys that, well, yeah. I haven't seen quite enough of them in my run of the show. I'm watching it now, and I'm in season 5, so I'm looking forward to a lot more Jeffrey. We've already gotten some, but we're getting a little more in the future. So
I didn't even know he had a recurring role. I just thought he was strictly characters,
Oh, I'll send you down that wiki rabbit hole. Yeah, look up Wei Yun and Jeffrey Combs. He fantastic character. Just there's a scene where we go Trek here a lot, but he's preparing the. Basically, he has these commandos that need a drug from him, and there's a ceremony, and it shows him getting out this ornate box and just like going through the motions and saying all the rites and stuff. And here you are, let's get this done with. Just some perfect Jeffrey Combs moments. So
yeah, he's great. The only thing when I met him, he had a mustache because he was doing Edgar Allan Poe on stage, and so he had a mustache. And I was a little bummed because here's Barbara Crampton looking like she just walked off the screen from Re-Animator. She even had the bob cut at the time. So I got a picture of me with her, and it's like, whoa, I could barely talk. And I never have that experience when meeting an actor. It was like, oh, I did not expect you to look so young and so exactly like you do in the movie. So I had a hard time with her. But Combs, yeah, I've got a Laserdisc so signed by both of them. Really nice. And they were cool. But man, yeah, he didn't look like himself, like as in, he definitely looked like older, but gosh, it threw me for a loop. That was crazy.
And if we're going to talk about the actors, I guess we do have to, oh God, is it Gayle or Hale? I always get confused.
David Gayle.
Yeah. This was not a good job for him to take, it seems.
No, David Gale's wife found out while watching the movie at the premiere that he'd done this film where it's the head-giving head scene. It's the most notorious part of the movie. It's where he is, for those who have not seen it, David Gale's character, Dr. Carl Hill, ends up getting his head chopped off when he attempts to steal Herbert West's work. And Herbert, of course, is like, parts! I've never tried whole parts. So he just injects the reagent, as it's called, into Hill's head, and it, of course, begins talking to him. And later on, it absconds and somehow manages to get a nude Meg splayed on an examination table. I guess it was in the morgue, actually, a morgue table, and he just goes right for the old crotch. I mean, he is literally about to put his face in there. And yeah, David Gale's wife was just, how could you, she says, next to him. And I believe it led into divorce, but I'm not exactly sure.
No, the cast had basically said, yeah, that's pretty much what caused it. And the divorce came through, like, shortly after the screening, so...
Oh, he was great. He wore a toupee through the whole entire thing so that the head would match his haircut. So
yeah.
David. So.
And while we're on the minute trivia, I think there was even something about the pan, like it was used somewhere else.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's going a little deep. I've seen all the Re-Animators. Obviously, I've seen the weird remake that they did that's just not in English. I've also seen Re-Animator the musical on stage at the Steve Allen Theater, and Stuart Gordon was actually director of that. So he was there in the house that night that I saw it. But
you want me a link for your own excursion to Re-Animator, yeah?
Oh God, yeah! On my birthday a few years ago, we did a live reading at the theater, and it was an all-female, all-women cast rather, doing the shooting script of Re-Animator. So there's a lot of things in there for fans of the film. There's deleted scenes and stuff that didn't get in the movie that people know. There's stuff that was shot for the rated R version. There's everything, but there's also things in the shooting script that never even were filmed. It's pretty interesting. But me and my friends, near the end, we're just really cutting up. But we do the whole thing from start to finish, and the audience, you watch the video, they stay. I couldn't believe it. I was kind of running through it just to make sure the whole thing was there, and I'm like, wow, those same people were there sat through that entire thing. I don't think there was an intermission.
Ooh, okay. I mean, that's fine, but I'm just like, if you're adding all the deleted scenes and stuff, it seems like we're in for a bit of a ride.
Oh man,
I've never seen the third one. It's probably not one we're going to get to on the Sanctuary anytime in the near future. So, any thoughts on that one? Really, I don't remember the name.
It's called Beyond Re-Animator, and this was one that I believe was Sci-Fi Channel was involved with. And production-wise, it feels like a Sci-Fi Channel movie, but it also has a very odd thing to it that's not like a Sci-Fi Channel movie or the other Re-Animators. And by this time, Stuart Gordon did not direct it. It was directed by Brian Usna, which is the producer of the first two Re-Animators. And honestly, Usna's made some great movies on his own. But I remember it being... shot in Spain, like around that time, just that whole company was shooting in Spain a lot. They began really when, if they didn't shoot some of Bride of Re-Animator in it, they shot the entire Castle Freak somewhere in Spain or Romania or something like that, and they just kept shooting there. So all of the actors are dubbed because their accents don't even sound, I'm sure, remotely like, where they're supposed to be. And so Herbert West is in jail. He finally went to jail. In that movie, and you've got the son of a woman that was killed in his zombie massacre. gets like a job there basically so he can meet West and like start working with him, kind of like he's the new what was Bruce Abbott's character name? Dan, Dr. Dan.
Oh, right. Dan Kane.
Dan Kane. So
yeah.
it's basically like he's the new Dan or whatever, and he has got kind of a crisis of conscience when things start getting real. Santiago Segura is in it. He's one of my favorite Spanish movie stars. He's been in a lot of what was that? The guy that made that movie where the fetus truck collides and all the jars of fetuses fly up in the air. He's been in Day of the Beast. He's in it too, and he's really good. But I think I've only seen it once. I don't think it
be like a paella horror. We get spaghetti westerns in Italy, so paella
yeah,
horror.
no, there you go.
Yeah.
No, that's a good way to describe it. So no, he's a great actor, and he Segura should have been in the other Re-Animators as well. He's awesome, but aside from that, it was just like clearly a cash-in of some kind. And you've got Combs, so if you're a fan of him as Herbert West, that was pretty much the last one.
They really couldn't do it without him, could they?
No, they planned on doing a fourth called House of Re-Animator, and I think they got really far along because Stuart Gordon had worked with William H. Macy on a movie called Edmund that was really, really good. And so he was going to cast Macy as the President of the United States, and West in House of Re-Animator was basically called in when the president is killed, and he reanimates him so the public doesn't know. Like that was, if I remember correctly, that was the conceit of House of Re-Animator, but yeah, it never got made. That would have been great, I think. Probably still Sci-Fi Channel, probably still shot in Spain, but that just sounds funny to me, and I would love to see William H. Macy as a zombie president. I mean, I'd honestly
that's the sort
rather
of thing you could do the comic book version of as well.
I'm sure
of course,
there are
a movie's satisfying too, but if there's a full script and make the likenesses, you're rolling there.
There have been comics. I don't know how many. I don't know if like Ash versus Herbert West ever happened, or there's probably a lot of that. The kind of things that if I were 11 right now, I would be eating up.
And when does I always want to say Dr. Herbert West? He's not Dr. Re-Animator. Is he one of the second one, or am I just wanting to add that because he's such a mad scientist?
No, he's a medical student. That's true. So I don't think it's Dr. Herbert West. Possibly not in any of them. I mean, how would you? He's pretty much a rogue there,
Yeah. That's why I was watching. I was like, this guy doesn't have it now. Does he ever? Weird.
Yeah.
Oh, no, my other weird thought is they had to fake Anaheim is Switzerland in this one, and now they're filming in Europe. So that's kind of funny.
That's true.
Zurich. Yeah, Zurich, because that's just in California. So the tables are flipped now. Oh yes, yeah. We got to mention the name there. Was it? Oh, it's Hans Gruber, isn't it?
Dr. Gruber. Yeah, it's funny. Like I've seen, they ran this one year before Gonzorific. Like the movies that I make always show at midnight, and then during October they started to have these like horror movie festivals. So now it's like a major horror movie that people know will play, or a brand new horror movie that's high profile, and then my movies at midnight. And one year, yeah, they did Re-Animate. I was over the moon about this. My favorite horror movie on the big screen, then followed by my stuff. And I love seeing the punch that it still has with people. They're still freaking out. They still think it's disgusting, and they still find it hilarious. I liked your note about Rufus the cat, because the Rufus the cat scene still plays very well too. But your question was, would I hate the movie if it was Rufus the dog?
Yeah.
And I had to really think about that. Because I don't like seeing stuff happen to dogs. And as a matter of fact, doesthedogdie.com is a great website that I go to before I watch a movie, and I actually type in the title of the film to see if it's got a listing, because I want to know, because it puts me out of the movie sometimes.
That's why you never saw Private Ryan, yeah?
Oh, no, I walked out of Private Ryan after 20 minutes, and I went into basketball, which was just starting. So, and basketball ends, and I see the end of Private Ryan. So I've been told I've seen the worst parts of Private Ryan.
Oh, there we go.
What happens to a dog in Private Ryan? I didn't know anything happens. There must be some other... Does he get blown up?
I might be thinking of a different movie, to be perfectly honest, but I guess I just remember there was something up with Private Ryan there. Something with with Ryan's privates.
No, I would still enjoy it, but I would find that kind of cheap. There's another movie I watched around that same time a lot. The Fly Part 2 also was hitting home video around the same time as Bride.
I definitely saw that several times. I guess I saw the schlocky sequels, but you're 11 years old. Those are the ones to see anyway. That's when you really enjoy them.
Yeah, that falls into the category of sci-fi, certainly. Although there was a deleted scene of The Fly 2 that I didn't see until years later when the special edition came out, and it was of Eric Stoltz's character kind of on the run from the place that he'd been kept, and he throws up on a bunch of Boy Scouts, but they roll up the window before the acid can get to the kids' faces.
Oh, right.
They chopped it out because they're like, oh, we want people to like this guy. Like, not if he almost murders children with his vomit, I know.
Well, no one wants you to like this guy, so why don't we get into some of the horrible effects that we get in Re-Animator, because that's worth a discussion.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I guess the calling card here really is just the gore effects, I mean, for the 80s, what is it? This, American Werewolf in London, and probably something else, if you want to add it.
Yeah, the Thing.
Okay, which we're going to talk about in an hour or so. Yes, I took it out of my mind because I'm not talking about The Thing quite yet. But yeah, I feel like those three would probably be the good gold standards. I mean, I want to call a Nightmare on Elm Street film one of them too, but I mean, they don't compare to those three.
No, well, the 80s was just like that renaissance of effects. This was when they were not being made for children anymore. They were really starting to be made for adults, and a lot of big studios were having their own special effects. Before it was just one guy that would do everything. Definitely, the more you read about Lon Chaney, the more you kind of find out how little attention they paid to it. Jack Pierce as well, but by this time, effects were their own industry because audiences wanted blood and guts. The ratings board had yet to really come down on horror movies, and so, John Carl Buechler, who passed away also fairly recently, he was the one who was responsible for supervising all the makeup effects on this movie, and there's a ton. Are there any gags that stand out for you particularly, other than just the severed head and all of that?
Well, the cat punt.
Yeah, it hits the wall and slides down. Yeah.
And I was disappointed that he did not leave the note. Cat dead, details later.
Yeah, there's coffee mugs that say that now. I mean, it's kind of at that point, I really love kind of, it's super obvious how they did the headless body. I mean, it's not really well done. The one in Return of the Living Dead the year before, also not incredible. I mean, it's just a guy's in there, or a guy's, or if it's a dummy. But that body had to do a lot of things, and so it's just comical. It has no head, it can't see, so it's goofing around. But what I think people aren't expecting, and what they amazingly were able to reproduce on stage in the musical version of Re-Animator, was when the intestines burst from, I believe it's Dr. Hill's body, and begin to wrap themselves around Herbert and choke him.
With this, I mean, pretty much everything here is practical, and it's in a 16-day shoot, so that must take a fair amount of planning.
Yeah, and no, everything had to work. Everything had to work, and so the head looks great in the body, but in the pan rather. But that's mostly David Gale's performance there. I mean, he's really, really going for it. Everyone in the movie is. But if you're looking for like anatomically correct, it's a lot of camera tricks that they do. It's a lot of in the cutting, So you'll see Combs go down with that shovel, bam, like that, and then you'll see the head like kind of flip off into the away from the focal point, and you don't like totally. There's not this moment of impact, So it's gore, but it's not doing everything for you. Like later would be something maybe in the Friday the 13th movies or in some of these Tom Savini. His style was always like show absolutely everything.
Oh yes, Day of the Dead. I guess we have to add that to the list of ridiculous effects movies.
Yeah, I mean, that was where Greg Nicotero got his start. Famously now K&B, one of the only effects studios still working from those people who were involved in the originals, because I think most of them have closed down because of CGI. But yeah, though this movie is full of gore. I mean, and you got to see the unrated. Most of the times you'll run across the unrated, but the difference is pretty massive in terms of running time.
I'm not 100% sure which one I was actually watching, to be honest. What are some of the unrated cuts?
It's mostly got to do with when he actually cuts Dr. Hill's head off with that shovel. That scene is chopped down considerably, and then of course the giving head scene. I don't think he quite. It's shorter, but they also add things when they take away, so the movie doesn't become like super short. So when you look at the running times, they look kind of similar. But I remember at Suncoast Video when I was ordering my own VHS copy, because my dad is going to keep all of his, obviously, and I wanted to make sure I got the unrated. I remember that being a big deal.
Oh, I guess stunt doubles count as special effects. I wrote in my notes when they first reanimate the cadaver, like he's like a head trauma Terminator plus zombie, yep. And didn't realize, that actually is Arnold Schwarzenegger's stunt double from that period.
That was his double, yeah, absolutely. And he's walking around with his butt and his dong like just all the way out.
Yeah, Luke will kick himself. He's still at the gym because that's our Arnold moment. That's straight up. That's basically a straight up Terminator on screen for that bit. Doing
well, yeah, because he's naked.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we recognize his ass, don't we?
I know that ass. That's the Terminator's ass.
Right. Well, apparently I did.
That's great. That's a famous ass.
Right. Well, can't get more famous than that ass. At least not among men, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, you always wonder about the audition process for things like that. You should probably talk about the music too, because this is I guess Charles Band, the producer's baby brother, and the music kind of sounds a little bit like another famous score.
Oh God! Now now you are making me look at my notes here. If I made a
it's pretty much a direct ripoff of Bernard Herrmann for Psycho.
Oh, okay. I was actually gonna guess Vertigo, but I'm not too far off.
Yeah, no, those strings. It's not even a question. I mean, it's almost like, how did you get away with this?
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it. So, no, I didn't actually make a note. I think Vertigo went through my mind, to be honest, but it's just a few ticks away. Vertigo has some stat. I guess I've just seen Vertigo more. Psycho is fantastic, but I've only seen that like twice, where I've seen Vertigo like 10 times or something.
Well, if you play the theme to Psycho and then play the Re-Animator title theme, I mean,
just from my memory now, I'm like, oh yeah, of course.
But that's my ringtone. Like when my ringer's on, it's the Re-Animator theme.
So everyone's like, oh, you got Psycho on your phone. Cool.
Oh God, I would understand, but I would be disappointed if that happened. Like, oh, big Hitchcock fan. I mean, yeah, but Re-Animator.
Nothing here is as catchy as the Repossessed song, though.
Oh God. Yeah. While Re-Animator is one of my favorite movies of all time, Repossessed has to be one of my least favorite of all time.
Yeah.
I rarely talk about.
I was about to say, if you have no clue what we're talking about, that's after Naked Gun, Leslie Nielsen. Maybe he was as senile as Frank Drebin seemed on screen, because they just dragged him into this, sort of a parody of 80s horror and Exorcist and all that. Exorcist, of course, being 70s. But, terrible.
Yeah, Linda Blair was a star of Repossessed, and I haven't revisited it. It's not that there aren't funny things in it. It's more of just like, you ever, when you're in public, you just see somebody drop something or fall and you just feel embarrassed for them. You're like, you get this feeling of like, I don't know, I'm sure there's a word for it, but it's just, you feel their embarrassment. Well, when I watch Repossessed, I get that feeling of just being embarrassed for everybody.
I just don't want to re-encounter that theme song, which I'm not even going to try and sing, not because I don't know it, but because I don't want our listeners to have it go through their mind for the rest of eternity.
No, if you choose to Google that, that's on you. You're not like saying that you should by any means. No. But the Re-Animator the musical, that music is great. It's far better than Evil Dead the musical. I like Evil Dead the musical for its story and structure, the way they wrote basically all three movies as one story. Like it would make a great film, but the music in it's weak. The music in Re-Animator the musical very strong, and it goes through the whole story. And there's so much gore at the end. I mean, I wasn't sitting in the splash row, as they call it. I was a few seats back. But while Herbert is singing his final song, his final number, he's singing it while being strangled by intestines. I mean, and the actor, you can tell, they've built a hose of some kind into the intestines, so while the actor playing Herbert is being strangled and he's singing, he can actually squirt the audience with this intestine. It's great. Yeah,
I wrote it's hard to chat with no vocal cords. That was for Dr. Hill, of course, but...
Oh, well, we were talking about medical inconsistencies with
Re-Animator. We don't have to get into that.
No, I have not watched Re-Animator with a medical professional. Although, it'd be funny if they created a TV series that was that, like a Netflix series or YouTube series, where a medical professional watches Home Alone, for example, and talks about the real life injuries that would occur and so forth.
Oh, there's one medical inconsistency I'll get at. I like how at the end when Barbara Crampton's character dies, everyone just leaves. Is that what happens? Everyone just leaves instantly? That doesn't seem right.
Well, because they're like, Dan, it's over, call it, and they just we're going to give you a minute with her. No, the part that I thought was screwy was when Dan leaves her getting strangled by that beef jerky arm in the elevator to go get that fire axe. It's meanwhile, she's being strangled here. I was like, dude, where are you going, man? She's getting choked. When seconds count, I'll be over in the hallway.
Dr. Halsey is the character in Halo who creates all the Spartans, and she dies, but she gets to live on by copying her brain into Cortana. So I wonder if she's named after the character from this. Because, the Halo games do copy a lot from sci-fi books and films.
Re-Animator.
Man, I want to give him his doctorate. I want to be Dr. West, Dr. Herbert West, but I guess he's not.
No, he was a medical student, and they do some humor that's I think just for college students. He's like, at any rate, your student loan will be rescinded. He's like, I can't finish medical school. People really there's some that laugh in the audience, but others are like, oh, damn.
Yeah, I went through the eye of the needle for that sort of stuff myself, which Georgia let you do for at least a few years, so where you didn't end up saddled with loans, which is nice. And I guess, well, yeah, It's like maybe that's why Herbert West ends up in Spain in the end, even though it's not really Spain. Get away from those loans.
Yeah, I know. It's like, who gave you a license to practice medicine? Dr. Seuss? No, we think of him as a doctor who's in a white coat. We trust those in a white coat. And if you've got glasses, you're a smart guy in a white coat.
Right, that's him. So he's a doctor. He's a unofficial doctor. Oh, the one thing before I get too deep into him, the one thing I learned trivia-wise on here is this is the first instance of glow sticks in a movie for the reagent.
Oh, yeah, right? They broke open a ton of them, didn't they? Because they didn't sell the gunk like in gallons or anything, right? They had to break them open.
Yeah, something like that. I guess it was stuff that, like for laser shows or something, because they didn't have the raves going yet, right?
No. This would have been what you or I would have taken out on Trick or Treat.
Right. Yeah, I think.
Oh, God, no.
I think I somehow did a Luke Skywalker with a glow stick once. So that makes sense, I guess. You got your lightsaber, right?
Yeah, that's not code for anything.
Yeah,
it's not code for.
Some of you listeners know what I'm asking for.
You give the old glow stick saber.
Luke Skywalker with a glow stick.
And the reason why they didn't sell it, probably because it's super toxic.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wonder, maybe that's why there's so many people in this movie dead. Breaking over too many glow sticks.
Now we're getting to the bottom of the Re-Animator conspiracy. It's not because they were already old when it was made.
Oh, or that I guess works too. But yeah, Herbert West himself, I think he's one of the more obsessive characters we're going to find in any screen, in any movie.
Yeah, oh God. Well, there's one thing to just be driven for one's career, and another one just like completely lack any sort of empathy whatsoever. I mean, he really does have the quality that you kind of would expect somebody in the medical profession to have, which is, they can sort of detach the body from the person and just kind of, but Wes is worse than that because he really doesn't see any human being or any living thing at all as being any more than just this body, this sort of electrical process and chemical process, So he, what I think shocks people also is when, that character of the, I want to say his name is, Dean Halsey, the dean of the university, when he dies, which he just happens to walk in on when they're just after Terminator Zombie.
I was looking for his name, but I wrote Dean Asshole.
Oh no.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, if you find Robert Sampson's name, tell me if he's dead or not, because I earlier said that he was dead, but I don't know that for a fact. I feel like he died maybe this year or last year, but he just dies, and Herbert West's immediate thought is, let's bring him back to life, But it's all in self-preservation. He's not trying to help this guy like a doctor would, like someone in a medical profession would. He's just like, oh, homie, we got a fresh body, man. He's like, this is, what does he say to Kane? He's like, this is the freshest corpse we could come across, aside from killing one ourselves.
Well, they do that too, don't they?
Yeah, you want to talk about an obsessed guy, but he is. I just find him really funny. I find him really funny from the pencil breaking,
Yes, I was about to say, this is kind of a two-pronged question. Does Jeffery Combs have charisma and charm? That's an easy one. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm assuming you're not going to disagree. Does Herbert West have charisma and charm?
I mean, in a way, I think so, because, if you were to say that he had charisma and charm, he would have to be the leading man in this. But obviously, they got Dean Cain, or what is the name? Dan Cain. Sorry, a lot of D's and C's. Dan is like the dashing hero or whatever, so he's actually supposed to have been like the star, the leading man. Wes is just sort of like a wild card, like, is he bad, is he good? But that's why Wes doesn't have the love interests, all that. So he's kind of an in-between. You never know if you should be on his side or not. But we side with Wes, and we want to see him succeed because of that charisma and charm, I think. Otherwise, if he were sort of like a snake, or like is he bad, is he good, or if you're sort of worried, is he going to kill Dan at some point, or Meg at some point if he gets the chance. I don't think you're necessarily thinking that he could just murder anyone at any time for any reason. I I think it's a crucial line that they have with the character, and when people are done watching the movie, they're all about Herbert West every time.
Oh, exactly. That's where I'm. That's why I'm suggesting West himself. Does he really? Because I'm separating the actor and the character.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a good, like if Herbert West did come across on screen as just a completely nasty dork, like psychotic, sociopathic dork, it would not be a fun movie to watch.
No,
but is that who he really is? Where everything is just heightened through this film because it's rather ridiculous in a good way.
Yeah. No, it is ridiculous. That's a great word to use. I think, and that might be one of the reasons why this is one of the ones that hasn't been remade as of yet. I mentioned a remake, but it's not really. It's just this like kind of stream of consciousness retelling of the Herbert West Re-Animator Lovecraft story. Which, by the way, anyone who's not watching Lovecraft Country on HBO, this is one of the first TV series I've ever cared to follow in years. It is amazing, but yeah, it's definitely because of Jeffrey Combs. I mean, he's just they if they put I'm not against remakes at all. Like I usually like them. Sometimes I like them more, but man, it would be hard to cast that role because he would have to kind of almost be rewritten.
Yeah, you'd have to find a new angle in. It's so melded to the actor. And Jeffrey Combs he was trying to be like basically a normal leading man at this point. It's he got pigeonholed by this movie by doing it so well, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I guess that's why I like seeing him as all the Star Trek aliens, because he's still doing genre. Like he's if he ever does get out of that and shows up in some award-winning movie, that's amazing. But it kind of gave him some room to breathe and do something a little different.
Yeah, true. And also, I think Combs himself is a fan of the genre. I think he's doing exactly the kind of work that he wants to be doing. And for friends of mine in the film industry that have worked with him, they all say that, and he is just great. Like he's really got his. I hate to say he's got his head on straight.
Well,
I almost said it.
Right. Well, he does in this movie. It's not it's other people that lose it. Right. He keeps it.
No. Yeah.
That was his stipulation. I'll do the film. I'm keeping my head because it's on nice and straight.
I gotta keep my head. Don't mess with my hair either.
So,
no, but there are straight up and down just slapstick comedy in this movie. So I think he plays that also extremely well.
I guess that's where Dan Kane following him's a little bit weird, just because. I guess it's an 80s thing, like Fright Night, or I'm sure there's some other examples where why are they attracted to this person or following this person,
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. But, it's the answer is because there'd be no story if nobody was. And as we've kind of found out now, I think more than ever before here in the United States, is that previous to this COVID-19 pandemic, we would watch horror movies and go like, why would they go in there? They're so stupid. They know they're going to die, and yet they're still going in there. Now we know that's exactly how people would really act.
Anyway, you kind of mic dropped, right? So I was like, oh, okay, I got to put the segment there. But before we pull into the final stretch,
Sup?
Here comes Luke. We're pulling into the final stretch.
Masturbating about Goosebumps or whatever?
Was that?
I said, are you nerds still mutually masturbating about Goosebumps or whatever?
Goosebumps the movie, man.
Who's currently on?
I don't know where your headphone splitter is. So we talked about how Herbert West is creepy with charisma, but I guess that's where Dr. Hill has zero charisma and he's creepy as fuck. Like, even before he's a monster.
Yeah. So I think the one thing that this version of the movie misses, the one that most people have seen, that I really wish had been in the movie a little more, but I understand why it slows it down, is Dr. Hill is working on mind control.
Yeah, he's very Ewan Cameron. I think I might have written that in there somewhere.
Yeah, and that adds a layer of creep and scum and bastard that I think you want to see his head chopped off even more. It makes him even more scummy because he's when he's looking at Meg and talking to her and he's trying to control their will, and that's really what he was doing with those zombies, is trying to be, be their master or whatever, complete mastery of the will. And so when you can tell that he's trying to get involved with the dean's daughter, who's a student, gross.
He seemed to be trying to get involved with Herbert West a bit as well. So yeah, just total scummery for villainry. So Luke,
Sup?
Yeah, so hi, welcome. This is Matt.
This is Luke.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi
Sanctuary.
Someone got caught up in Japanese red tape.
Fuck yeah, I did.
When you sent me the message, I was like, 10. I was like, dude's not going to be here in time.
Well, I would have been if the gym had actually opened at 10. They let us in, let us start signing up. We got like halfway into the process and oh yeah, you can come into the club, but there's no one at the gym office until 11. So I just got to sit and drink a coffee and look at their collection of manga.
Well, anyway, your thoughts on Re-Animator. 2 minutes, go!
I like H.P. Lovecraft. This is kind of like the more forgettable of H.P. Lovecraft's stories, but it still gets into the sort of the fear of science interfering with nature. I kind of like that aspect. It's got a hot naked blonde girl in bondage, so I'm always up for that. But then, the dude takes his own head off and starts licking her out. And I've always been a bit creeped out by the idea of, having these pornographic elements in, these gore fests. Because it's am I meant to be getting off to this or not? Or is it just meant to make me feel awkward? So that was a bit of a thing. The main lead guy was good, but he's just he's the Aaron Eckhart problem we run into a lot. He's kind of too handsome.
Who is the main lead guy?
Dan.
Ah, okay. See,
but yeah, West is the interesting character, right?
Yeah, we just
and in the book he is very much the protagonist.
We spent most of this discussion assuming he was a lead. Andrew brought up that Dan's actually Dan's. Really? It was okay. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, he gets to do the heroic rescue. He runs away in his tank top with his muscles out at the end. But yeah,
he's the chin of this movie.
Yeah, he is. He was hired for chin, 100%. But
and one more important question for you: did you recognize the ass?
The ass?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the first reanimated corpse was Schwarzenegger's body double, Terminator.
Oh, cool.
I recognized the ass.
I did recognize Wei-Yun.
Yes. I mentioned that, and now Andrew has something new to watch, I guess.
I guess I've got a Wei-Yun thing I need to bring up. During summer school we were watching episodes of Detective Conan.
Yeah.
And they draw the ears so freaking big. Every character is meant to be human, but they look like they're either a Ferengi or whatever Wei-Yun is. I can't remember the name of his species.
So yeah, Andrew, there you
go. That's my 2 minutes on Re-Animator.
That's your homework, man. Go look up Wei-Yun if you want some more good Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, you've got my thing to stand up about the pillow.
I actually couldn't get it to stand up with the pillow for some reason, so I gave up. Yeah, Luke's got
You're going to have to tell people what you're talking about, because that's going to sound weird.
The hinges on my laptop are smashed. So although it still works perfectly fine, you have to do some jiggery pokey to get it to stand up.
So I was worried I would destroy his computer by opening up his computer, but it seems to have worked out in the end.
Yeah, he's pulled it off somehow.
Yeah. I think you're recording if you're not Andrew is, so if Andrew is recording the call.
Yeah, it should do it automatically. I'm just checking whether the battery is working. It's not telling me it's not.
Okay. How's your charge? We don't know.
Oh yeah, it was plugged in. Cool.
Good. Okay. All systems are go. Good to know. Would have been fun if we just got suddenly cut off in the middle of our conversation. Yeah. Anyway, Re-Animator. So actually, Luke, let's start with you. Does it hold up? You had a few issues there. We heard those.
Most of my issues are with it not being the best of Lovecraft's books. The film actually does a much better job with this concept than the book did.
Right.
So actually, I think it holds up really well.
Yeah, you're talking.
It's a fun little romp.
I don't even need to ask Andrew that question, but you want to answer it anyway?
No, I really agree with Luke. When I finally was able to read some Lovecraft, I think it was maybe in like 8th or 9th grade, very disappointed in Herbert West Re-Animator.
I think Lovecraft himself is on record as saying, like, they made me write this one, I don't like it.
Okay.
This was very much the for the paycheck one.
Yeah, he would have been really mad at the movie because there's a black person in it.
So, but yeah, it's a good horror movie, sci-fi horror. As it's this will be released around Halloween time. So, I guess you're not having are you doing a streaming Gonzorific Film Festival this year or anything?
I've already spoken to the theater about it, so they're willing to work on it with me so we can get something happening. I just can't say exactly what it's going to be yet, but I have plans are in the works.
This is airing, I guess, around October 22nd. So do you have?
I mean, feel free to send us a voice clip if you do want to. Like,
we're already clipping his read through of Re-Animator with his own cast.
Okay.
So we definitely got something else.
It's gonna be a long ass episode.
Yeah.
No, you have Gonzorific's Re-Animator. No, if I was gonna like plug anything, it would be my new movie Areola Jones and the Home Video Vixens, which is available on DVD and Blu-ray and not currently on streaming yet. But I just got the money to buy the closed captions, so that should be happening fairly soon.
It looked like you just sold all the Blu-ray.
Has the word home been added since you last told us about that film?
Probably. Yeah.
I remember it being.
I mean, it was always on the. Yeah, it was on this. It was always on the script, but I think I'd forgotten it and lost my way.
Oh, okay.
But the Blu-ray is almost sold out. That's true. I'm looking at 2 copies, and I think an order came in just while we were doing this. So
nice.
In other words, we look for you. A Gonzorific on Instagram is the place to go.
Yeah, that's the one I keep up with. Like,
do they follow you on Insta?
That's where we are.
Okay, well, we're going to put a cap on it for today because we're actually going to start our next podcast in about 3 minutes. So,
yeah.
Andrew, sorry for the funkiness today, but yeah, we got, I mean, come on, we've known each other for 30 years, so I think we can have a good wrap on here too, so.
No, we have a lot of practice. It just hasn't happened in a while, but tell Henrik I said what's up, man.
We will do that in about 3 minutes.
This also opens the door that if I have to record a podcast without you soon, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt fucked up the schedule 1 hour in one direction, and I fucked it up an hour in the other direction. So.
The moral of the story is don't listen to One Direction.
Yeah, definitely don't.
Okay, anyway, this has been Matt.
This has been Luke.
And the third dude here today was...
Andrew Shearer.
Man, you just got in the Sanctuary. What's everyone else going to do?
Well, Andrew and the listeners at home can just get out of our Sanctuary and go join a gym and get swole, like I did.
You just started the membership, man.
Yeah, but I was there for like 6 months, but then it shut for 3 months. And now my arms are almost as skinny as yours, so I need to go back.
Okay, later, y'all.
See yous.
Later.
Next week, The Thing.